Hello, everyone. Let's discuss another novel research situation question. So, the question that we have over here says Kyle conducted an investigation into doodling during lessons by boys and girls. So, Kyle is conducting an investigation. This investigation is into doodling, and this investigation is during lessons. This investigation is about doodling done by boys and girls. He counted the number of doodles and how much paper was used per hour when doodling. So there are two variables to be noted over here. Number one, counting the number of doodles. Number two, how much of paper was used per hour when doodling. He had several concerns about uncontrollable variables in his study. So having a look at this, if read it, understand it. I'd read it again for you. Kyle conducted an investigation into doodling during lessons by boys and girls. He counted the number of doodles and how much paper was used per hour when doodling. He had several concerns about uncontrollable variables in his study. Number one, the first question over here that reads, define quantitative data using Kyle's data as an example. Using Kyle's data as an example. So you need to define what quantitative data is. And for the second mark, you need to use Kyle's data as an example. Taking this ahead, you get the first mark for defining what quantitative data is. Numerical data is quantitative data. The second mark for Kyle's data, you could say Kyle was counting the number of doodles, or you could say that uh, Kyle was measuring the amount of paper that was used per hour when doodling. So amount of paper could be operationalized through area of doodle in centimeter square or anything else as well. That is how you score a 2 on 2 on this. Moving on ahead, the second question that we have over here that says Kyle observed doodling in different lessons and was concerned that the science lessons may have been more interesting than other subjects. So this is a 3 mark question, right? You get the first mark for the type of variable and you get the second mark for explanation. Number one, what is the question? The question says, name this type of uncontrollable variable. Name this type of uncontrollable variable. So you are expected to name the type of uncontrollable variable and explain why it could be a problem. So you name it first and then you explain why it could possibly be a problem, right? Now, taking this ahead, how interesting the lesson is could be a situational variable. Now, at this point, I come across students when they say, oh, so situational variable. Did we study situational variable? Of course, you studied situational variable as a part of a syllabus. Remember, I kept on saying, go through your syllabus, right? This is just a screenshot from your syllabus to show you that yes, this is very much situational variables, participant variables. They are very much a part of your syllabus. You've been taught situational variables and you have been taught participant variables too. If you think you need to revise them, pause it here and read through this. If you think you need to revise situational variables, pause it here and read through this. Taking this ahead, getting to the question, name this type of uncontrollable variable and explain why it could be a problem, right? So Kyle observed doodling in different lessons and was concerned that science lessons may have been more interesting than other subjects, right? Typically, the general understanding is, or the general impression that we hold is, we doodle when we bored, right? So we would be doodling in uh, non-science classes, according to this. So how interesting the lesson is could be a situational variable because it is a feature of the experimental setting. That is the lesson. Because the students might doodle less in these lessons or they might doodle more in other lessons. So it could look like boys doodle less, girls would seem to doodle more, because typically the general understanding is that boys are more inclined towards science subjects. Now, so there would be an apparent gender difference that did not exist, that was simply due to an uncontrolled variable, and that uncontrolled variable over here is a situational variable. This is how you score a 3 on 3. So read through, revise through situational variables, situational variables, participant variables, revise through extraneous variables, confounding variables, uncontrolled variables. All of this is going to help you. Now, there are many students who end up confusing this and losing marks. Don't do that, right? You still have a chance. This would just take a minute or two, read through it so that tomorrow, if you get a question on this in the CIs, you do not lose your mark. Another question. On one of the days, Kyle collected data. The girls had been on a school trip the day before, so may have been tired, but the boys had not been on a school trip. Name this type of uncontrollable variable and explain why it could be a problem. Now, because girls, acha, number one, name this type of uncontrollable variable. This is a participant variable, right? Now, because it is internal to the individuals, it might make the girls doodle more less than they would normally doodle because they were tired and they were tired because they had been to a school trip a day before. This is how you could get a 3-on-3 over here in questions like this. You're getting the first mark over here and you're getting the other 2 marks for explanation. Let me take this opportunity and quickly help you revise situational variables. What is a situational variable over here? Variables that the situation brings to the study can affect the DV. Variables that the situation brings to the study can affect the DV rather than the variables that the situation brings to the study can affect the DV rather than the IV affecting the DV. Examples of situational variables might include the temperature, the noise, so on and so forth. Ways of helping to control situational variables include the following. Now, over here, remember science lessons? Remember how we refer to it as a situational variable. Ways of helping to control variables like these, it could be this a situation where the study took place can be standardized for both the groups. If using repeated measures, by using repeated measures, because if you're using repeated measures, you're using the same participants and making them go through different situations. This is how you could control it. Alternatively, you could or yeah, the counterbalancing effect, you could counterbalance. Now, what is counterbalancing over here? When you make both the, I mean, if you know a particular group is being affected, you make the other group go through it as well. So whatever the effect is, it is counterbalanced, it is balanced out. Number 3, a double blind technique could be used. This is when the researchers do not know the full aim of the study and simply follow a standardized procedure. Again, you think you need revision on double blind design, you read through this. uh, what is a double blind design over here? A double blind design is when the participants of a research as well as the researchers who conducting the research, they do not know what particular IV the research is going through, right? So double blind design, the word double blind design, the participant doesn't know and the researchers do not know either. Again, a quick revision of participant variables. Variables that the participants bring to the study can affect the DV rather than the IV. Variables that the participants bring to the study. Remember over here, we'd spoken about how the variables that the situation was bringing to the study, right? Now, examples of participant variables could include the prejudices they carry, the previous experiences they hold with a similar study, or the level of intelligence, the gender, the personality, so on and so forth. There are some ways of helping to control participant variable. Participants can be randomized to each levels of the IV. It is hoped that by chance, these types of variables will balance themselves out. Number 2, you could alternatively use a repeated measures design. Now, I hope this has helped. I hope if you haven't been clear about the content of your syllabus, you'd go through the video that I recently added, or if you think you haven't, if you think you've missed out on anything that the syllabus has, you'd go through it. You'd go through it because you still have time. Now, I hope this has helped. Take good care of yourselves. Thank you.